Good morning. Welcome to Substitute Tuesdays. I'm Dorothy Lee, Family and Consumer Science Agent at the University of Florida, Escambia County Extension Service. And today we're going to be taking a little bit closer look at certain types of cooking oils for baking and for frying. There are plant oils and there are also animal oils. And sometimes they can be a little misleading when we're working on baking items, or if you're just frying, or maybe even if you're just adding the type of oil to certain types of recipes, if you're preparing a casserole and so forth. So let's take a look at the different types of vegetable oils. Oftentimes in your grocery store, you will find a large container of canola oil. And canola oil is a vegetable oil. It's made from the rapeseed, from the rape plant. And it is one of the oils that can withstand a very high temperature. So if you're frying foods, or if you're using it for sauteing, and then you're going to use it to get a little bit higher, because sauteing is usually a lower type of temperature for your cooking, then canola oil is an excellent oil. One of the things that can be confusing in our grocery aisle is the fact that the label may have vegetable oil. Well, what's vegetable oil? Is it canola oil, or is it another type of oil? Well, actually, vegetable oil can be a combination of oils. It could be a combination of soybean oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil. It's just a plant source of oil. So read the label. That's the important thing to do, is to take a look at the label so that you know what type of oil is in the vegetable oil. Now, vegetable oil often is very inexpensive. It's less expensive oftentimes than the canola oil or some of the other oils that we have also available to cook. But vegetable oil is an excellent oil for frying, not so much for baking because of the flavor content. In reading this label, I found that this particular oil is prepared from a soybean source. So soybeans were used for this particular. There's also a corn oil that falls in with this group of oils too. One of the oils that has become very, very popular recently is coconut oil. Coconut oil is also a plant source. It's used in baking and in frying, or in cooking and adding to certain recipes. It's another source of cooking. And one of the oils that is very healthy for us is the extra virgin olive oil. And extra virgin olive oil oftentimes is used in stir frying different things. The only problem with using this type of oil in cooking is it does not withstand a very high heat. So it would not be a good idea to use olive oil to fry, because it would burn. At high heat, it starts to burn. However, it does add an extra plus when you're preparing some type of dressing, maybe for your wonderful green salad. It adds flavor. This particular oil adds flavor to dishes that you're preparing also. And then there are certain types of what we use the term animal sources. And of course, one very popular animal source is butter. Butter, of course, is an excellent source for baking. It is an excellent source for flavoring and so forth. Oftentimes, butter and animal sources of oils have what we call aliases. And one of the aliases that I find often if I read a label is the fact that it has tallow, and that is animal fat, and that's known as something that we used to use very often a long time ago in cooking, and that's shortening or lard. So tallow is the same as shortening or lard. Those are kind of interchangeable names and so forth. So these are some of the various types of cooking oils that we do have available. You know, there's some specialty oils also, sesame seed oils, there's a cashew oil. It depends on what you're preparing, whether you need a certain type of oil for your recipe. So now let's take a look at some of the substitutes that we can use in preparing some of our recipes instead of using the oils in a recipe. Some of the substitutes that we can use in our cooking, especially in our baking, seem to be very, very interesting. As you can see here, I have quite a few different types of products that can be substituted for the oil or the fat in our baking recipes. And one is, of course, mayonnaise. Mayonnaise has a lot of oil content, so therefore it works well in baking. It results in a product that is very, very moist. And so it's used oftentimes in cakes, muffins, and that type of baked goods. A very unusual type of substitute would be cornstarch. And now with cornstarch, you have to go through that process of sort of mixing up a slurry with the cornstarch and the water, and then kind of thickening it to the consistency that you need for your recipe. But cornstarch can also be substituted in a baking recipe. Fruit puree is an awesome thing to use. A lot of times prune puree is used. The prunes are processed in a blender till they're very, very fine, and they can be substituted on a one-to-one in baking. Now, in brownies, it makes the brownie really very, very moist and very, very soft. So if you prefer brownies to be chewy, then this would not be a substitute that you would want to use, because you're going to have the result very, very soft. Yogurt. Different types of yogurt. Usually yogurt that is the plain yogurt or vanilla yogurt is used in baking. And 1/4 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons of yogurt is equal to 1 cup of cooking oil. These different types of substitutes, 1 cup of oil is equal to 1 cup of the vegetable, the fruit puree, also the cornstarch and the mayonnaise. Now, I have some margarine, and for many, many years we've been substituting margarine in our baking for butter. There are soft margarines or tub margarines on the market that oftentimes are used in baking cookies, cakes, muffins, and so forth. The result is a little bit different than using the butter in our baking. With a tub margarine, the softness, the water that is in the tub margarine that is used to whip it to make it soft and spreadable also results in a baked good that is very, very moist. It's not going to be crispy. It's not going to be chewy. It's going to be very, very moist, sort of like a cake type or a muffin type of product. So some of these substitutes can be used in very different ways in cooking, especially in our baking process. So for more information, contact the University of Florida, Escambia County Extension Service.